Hello and welcome to the New Homes Horizon podcast by Neilston Homes. I'm your host Sara, and today we're talking to new homeowners Carl and Frankie about their journey to buying a home. Thanks for joining us today on the podcast. What motivated you to start the buying process of buying a house?
So we thought it would be another 12 months before we could buy something initially. We just started to kind of explore what was out there so we could understand how much we would need to save. So we were having a look at existing and new builds, and then eventually, because it was quite hard, this is going back, maybe 3-ish years ago. At that time you couldn't search for new builds. It was just luck that if a developer was selling new builds that it would target you online somewhere. So eventually, having explored all these different options, that's when we found Neilston. So we wanted to get our feet into the market pretty much, and we had a lot of friends that were already looking or buying, and they were existing, and we felt that we started to have a look at existing houses, but it just wasn't right for us in terms of like budget and everything. And we thought, well, what can we do? You know, like we could have a wish list of all these things that we want, but let's just start somewhere to get our foot in the market.
So you mentioned that you had a wish list. How did you kind of figure out what exactly you wanted, and how did you kind of search through all the properties and find something that you actually liked?
So I was probably like, we did think, like I said, that it would be another 12 months, but I ended up just, because I'm always very curious. So I was searching, and because I was working from home, I could have the luxury of doing that. And then I'd send everything through to Carl.
We started getting those real targeted ads.
Yeah. So like in terms of a wish list, it was kind of like, I think it was probably more down to location. We didn't want to be out in Papakura or Hobsonville. We wanted to be
central.
Yeah. And Carl's family, and he's growing up around Mount Roscoe, and being so close to the city, it was just ideal. So I think it kind of started there in terms of location. And then like other things we were kind of looking for, I think it was pretty broad because you can't really be fussy. I think that's the key thing.
It's your first time, it's not your forever home.
Yeah. So like I know I wanted something that was like more open plan, with good indoor-outdoor flow, like good sized bedrooms and bathroom. That was kind of it. Anything else was like a bonus. And then also there's things that, like, even though you may rate them more higher on your wish list, you have to kind of be realistic, I think, is the key.
Compromise, eh?
Yeah.
You know, like we managed to secure a 3-bedroom house, so you know we can have kids in the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. And we've got the option of actually staying in this house while that happens.
Yeah.
You know? And like I said,
Yeah.
it is our first time staying forever home, but that, you know, that's going to help us kind of achieve that.
Yeah. And like, I think not putting pressure on yourself either on how long you want to stay in the home for. Like, it needs to be something that could go like the distance as well. Yeah. Something that can work, is durable, but something you're happy with now.
What were the challenges you faced in the home search?
Well, I wouldn't say we had too many challenges. I think I always say luck and timing were on our side, because it was just more, we'll just see what's out there. And then it was like, we can actually make something work. So I think, Neilston was probably the first one that we looked at, and we're like, we're sold. So we weren't actually looking anywhere. We were very decisive. And I know not too many people are like that, but that's naturally my personality, and I think you're quite like that as well. Or I convinced you.
It's also a bit rose tinted in terms of how
Yeah.
we're talking about it. Like at the time, it was peak demand.
Yeah.
You know, it was the height of, it was going into the height of the market. I think it was just before it really took off. I think we're talking end of 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
And we started talking about that in December, and I think we signed the sales agreement late January.
I think, but even then, I think it was a bit before, like, we were kind of thinking about it, like...
It couldn't have been more than November. And, like, I think it was really just, you know, there was a lot of hunger in the market, and I think it was making sure you build those connections, like Neilston, their sales agent, Jim. You know, he was really good at kind of working with us. We went out and saw the show home at that point out in Hobsonville Point. And then we kind of had a walk around there. We're like, okay, yep. So when this pops open in January, and we kind of keep an eye on that, a few pestering emails. And I think that's, you know, one of the things, you know, is like you need to be. It is a bit of a chasing these developers, and like they're busy, but they also you know, ultimately at the end of the day they want to sell to you, so you got to put that legwork in. So we kind of chased him. He popped it open, and I think this development's got about 9 properties in it. I think within the day 9 were under contract, or the initial deposit had been paid.
Yeah. Was getting right into the peak, wasn't it?
Yeah. So in terms of like how we overcame any challenges, I think it was more, just us being decisive and proactive. I think those are the 2 things. Like, I think knowing what you want helps you, like, just go for it. But I think we were just fortunate from that perspective. We were both like that.
Yeah.
From the time you signed up to the house to getting the final product, how did you feel throughout the whole process and the communication throughout it?
It was good in terms of the whole process. Like, we knew what to expect. It was probably helpful that we lived close enough to come and see it, so that made up for the fun of it. The communication was really good though. We knew what was happening. Like, it wasn't so frequent, but frequent enough, like, to know what was happening.
I don't think at any point we were unsure of what was actually going on, and you know, once it got to the nitty gritty end, we were getting really quite regular updates. And, you know, that was real cool. It was cool doing like the house tour. Yeah, I thought we were just very well supported by Nielsen throughout the whole process. You know, at no point did I feel like they didn't have our best interests at heart. Yeah,
and especially comparing like to somebody else that we know who was with a different developer who had no communication throughout. Like, we felt really supported and lucky of our experience.
So buying off the plans, how can you look at a piece of paper and kind of visualise what you're going to get?
Well, I think it helped us going to the show home at the very beginning. We knew straight away, cool, this is what the quality is going to look like. And it was more predictable because of the finishings and everything. You obviously, like, you can see a plot of land with nothing on it, and you can kind of visualise it. For me, I'm quite visual, so I felt quite comfortable and had that, like, awareness of what it was all going to look like. I don't know, how did you feel?
I guess it's probably the thing with that is, off the plans, is you've got a lot of protection. You know, there's protection both sides. Like, there's very specific, I guess, dimensions and like clauses and all that stuff that they go through, and you know, that's going to be a finished product. And even like, I guess in terms of the financial incentives to buy off the plans, you know, there's huge advantages to it. We've come in here and, you know, we're not doing any renovations, there's no additional cost. What we paid for at the time is what we're paid for. You know, we're not concerned about anything in terms of like maintenance. It's a brand new home. Yeah.
And did you ever expect to have this view that you have?
I mean, that was definitely, I don't know if we probably expected it to be as amazing as it was, but it did appeal. Like, that was the whole appealing factor as well. Like, that we did have the reserve right there. I was like, oh, that's cool. We've got space. We don't have like another house behind us. And then as the reserve started coming together, we were like, wow, this is actually pretty amazing. I think that was just,
even that we're in a new development. Like, all the infrastructure on here is brand new. Like, we've got brand new roads. They're doing up the park. We've got a brand new school. All the schools are getting extra funding. You know, it's really nice being in a new development where things are shiny and new and they're kind of fit for purpose. You know, like February flooding, we had 0 issues. There was 0 flooding and and we're right next to the river, and it operated just as it was meant to. And like, you know, that's really, really nice to be able to say that.
How did you guys feel the day that you got the keys?
Probably just like a bit stunned.
It didn't really like sink in. Yeah, it was kind of like, oh wow, this is our home. Like, it was quite funny because I think it's like you wait in anticipation, and then when you get there, you're like, wow, okay, we're here.
And like people always talk about what a stressful process it is. It honestly like for us it wasn't. Probably the most stressful part was actually making the bank transfer to the lawyers and you're making sure all the numbers are right. That was literally the most stressful part, which, considering we've got a brand new house, that's pretty wild.
Yeah. It felt like, I think, like for the first 2 weeks, because especially it was over like the Christmas period, it felt like we were at an Airbnb for a bit, like it wasn't our home. So I think, and after that, then we could like not that we weren't enjoying it at the beginning, but we were enjoying it more. Like we're like, oh cool, like this actually feels like our house now.
You can actually put like nails into the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do so much now. So I think it took a while for us to be like, wow, okay, cool, this is ours. But it was exciting, and it feels really good.
Okay, you guys have been in the house for about 8 months now, since Christmas. How do you feel living in it now?
Our water bill is so cheap.
Yeah, I think
like so cheap.
it's so funny. Like, I mean, we knew we had like the grey water system, and now I don't think we could imagine living somewhere without that. Even things like going through winter and having double glazing and everything. It's kind of the small things as you go through that you're like, this makes such a difference.
Well, it's 6-star healthy home, so everything's just it's warm, dry home.
Yeah.
We're not having issues of like feeling cold inside.
No, like everything, like if we went down the like existing house route, we wouldn't get any of that unless the owners beforehand decided to do that. But even then, like I think that's one of the blessings with a new home, that we get all the bells and whistles. It's up to standard, and I think that's what's been really nice as we've been kind of going through,
Everything's just designed and fit for purpose. Everything is there because of a reason. The storage is in certain places because it makes sense, not because that's the cheapest option. All the appliances, it's just everything works. The kitchen works seamlessly. The bedrooms flow well. It's a really effective utilisation of space.
Yeah, and I think like the nice finishing touches that we weren't expecting, like for example lights on the stairs, which is so nice, and then even like the sensor lights outside, when you come home and it turns on. I think all of those little things kind of add up to like how the whole experience feels, especially living in your home. You don't really have to add anything, it's all there, and it makes you feel really warm, safe, comfortable. So that's what's been really nice, is it just feels really relaxing and easy
to maintain as well. Like like our land space is just efficient. We've got a lovely large deck, we've got a fantastic veggie garden. It's just really, really well designed.
Do you have any advice for someone looking for a first home now?
Probably first is make sure your KiwiSaver's in order, so you're in the right fund with that. Second one is go to a developer that's got a good reputation, someone who's got a track record. Like across, I guess, Auckland, you're seeing all these housing developments, wider suburb developments happening. You can see certain developers like Neilston are actually delivering this. I think within the last 2 years, Neilston's finished 2 to 3 free developments. And that's nuts, where other developers I've seen have done nothing. And that's such an important thing. You want people with a track record.
Yeah. I mean, I think that stuff's really important, but I look at it a little bit differently. I think you need to go out and explore and figure out what you want, and then you've got to be decisive and proactive. I think that's kind of the key things. I think if you don't know what you want, I mean, whether it's going to existing houses and going to auction, like you really need to know exactly what you're looking for, and so to take that time to actually figure out what means the most to you, and what are the deal breakers, and then what are the things that you have to be realistic about in your position. Like this is your first home, what can you do without for now, or what can you add in later if you really needed to. I think that's what's really important.